For this problem, we're given three statements that involve factorials, and we want to know which of them is an integer. So before we look at the statements, let's first talk about what factorial means. So you might remember that if n is an integer, then n factorial is equal to the product n times n minus 1 times n minus 2, and so on, all the way down to 2 times 1. Now let's look at each of the statements to determine which of them will result in integers. So starting with statement 1. 10 factorial over 6 factorial. We can expand the numerator to be the product 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 factorial, all over 6 factorial. The 6 factorials are going to cancel, and we'll be left with the product 10 times 9 times 8 times 7. That's definitely going to result in an integer, so we know statement 1 is going to have to be in the answer choice, which means we can eliminate choices B and D. The correct answer has to be choice A, C, or E. Now let's look at statement 2, which says 10 factorial over 5 factorial. So similar to what we did in statement 1, that's going to be equal to the product 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 factorial, all over 5 factorial. This time the 5 factorials cancel, and we'll be left with the product 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6, which also is going to have to be an integer. Now we can eliminate answer choice A, because we know Roman numeral 2 has to be in the answer. So the correct answer has to be choice C or E. So let's move on to statement 3, which says 10 factorial over 5 factorial, 3 factorial. Similar to what we did before, we're going to expand the numerator to 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 factorial, all over 5 factorial times 3 factorial. Now notice the 5 factorials will cancel. Then we're going to be left with 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 in the numerator and 3 factorial in the denominator. Well, let's expand the denominator. So we'll leave the numerator as is. The denominator becomes 3 times 2 times 1. 3 times 2 times 1 we know is going to be equal to 6, so we can cancel that with our 6. And we're going to be left with the product 10 times 9 times 8 times 7. That has to be an integer. So we know that statement 3 is also going to give us an integer, which means we can eliminate choice C, and the correct answer is choice E, 1, 2, and 3.